As I said, the human element is very, very important. Once you bring in the human element, the reader gets interested. But how to hook the reader? That's very important. We say the intro. The intro means the first paragraph of an article. That's the most important. In fact, there is an old movie, if you remember. I don't know how many of you would have seen it. The front page. It's about an American a tabloid editor and his reporter. So the reporter files one of the very exclusive reports about a convict who had escaped, a convict who had been sentenced to hanging, escapes from prison, and this reporter finds him and interviews him, and he gets the most exclusive, great exclusive story, scoop we call it. He types it very fast and gives it to the editor. The editor reads it. Okay, very good. So and so Smith has been found in such and such room and all that, and then just tears it up. Why? It was my best story. Yes, but where is the newspaper's name? The Chicago Examiner found him in such and such place. You should have mentioned. That's coming in the second paragraph. Who is going to read the second paragraph? That was the editor's response. So the point is the first paragraph. Yes, people will read the second paragraph if the first paragraph hooks the reader. If the reader is hooked by the first paragraph, he'll go on to read the second, third, fourth, and the entire article, even if it's 5 or 6 pages long, because you have to uh, tickle the reader. So how do you do that? We say an intro like, sorry for being sexist, should be like a bikini. Show a lot, entice the reader, but don't reveal the vitals. Intro can be short, sexy, startling, shocking, teasing, surprising, funny, humanizing, anything. But it should not be very flat, kind of like a school essay. If you hook the reader, as I said, half your job is over. Now, what should be avoided in this case? I said school composition intro. I'll give you an example. When Justice Soumitra Sen was being impeached in the Rajya Sabha, it was a big news. So most newspapers had this news item, or some had articles. The next page, next day, or analysis was there in several newspapers, and most of them read somewhat like this: the Rajya Sabha made history when it summoned Justice Soumitra Sen to the bar of the House and began proceedings against him under Article whatever it is, which provides for impeachment of sitting judges. Fine, it said everything, but one writer I remember dramatized it. It was like this. Article starts like this with a quotation: Marshal, yes sir. Is Justice Soumitra Sen in attendance? Yes sir. Bring him to the bar of the House. Yes sir. Shortly after 3 p.m. on August 18, 2011, as Chairman Hamid Ansari uttered these words in a voice solemnly and ceremonially raised, a deafening silence fell on the upper house of India's parliament. Members did not even want to crane their necks and look towards the main entrance where a bar had been raised. They sat still, and moments stood still, as Honorable Justice Soumitra Sen of the Calcutta High Court, clad in a dark suit and a striped tie, appeared at the door at the bar. Even the table clerks stopped writing, allowing a longer moment of solemn pause in the march of constitutional history. Deliberately avoiding a glance, which would have been painful at the bar, where no judge had ever appeared, Ansari called Sitaram Yechuri to move the motion. So here it is almost like a drama, or a kind of a suspense movie, where you show the majestic hall of the Rajya Sabha of the parliament. A bar is raised at the entrance, where a judge in elegantly dressed is standing, but he is the accused. So this drama has been captured in that 3-4 paragraphs. Would the reader read the rest of the proceedings then? Then he would read what are the charges against him, how did the members raise the charges, how was he defended, how did he defend, because he himself he took up his own defense. He appeared, he was the first judge, the only judge who had ever appeared at the bar of the House of Parliament to defend himself. So how did he do that? All that the reader would be interested if after that reading those few paragraphs. So that's a trick of enticing the reader. So as I said, the intro can be a question, it can be something startling, it can be a puzzle, it can be even a statistic. It should just compel the reader to go on, that's all. Now, coming into the writing part of it, see, writing, what I have noticed very often is that legal writing is mostly in reported speech. He said that, but if you can bring in the direct speech, it would be much more effective. Let's see, two lines which is appearing in the local pages. Inspector Sharma said that the murder took place at 2 a.m. Instead, can we say, quote marks, the murder took place at 2 a.m., said Inspector Sharma. So you have brought in an element. You hear somebody speaking. Instead of saying Inspector Sharma said that the murder took place at 2 p.m., 2 a.m., just say the murder took place at 2 a.m., said Inspector Sharma. Those what he said should be in quote marks. That's the drama. Second, avoid legalese or officialese, as we call it, in when you write for newspapers or write for your client. When you communicate to your client, also is very important. Now, I'll just give you one article once I received from a very senior lawyer for publication in our magazine. I'll read it, the first paragraph. In a landmark decision, brackets, Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, clubbed together with 9 other writ petitions, comma, the Supreme Court struck down Section 66A of the Information Technology Act 2000, bracket IT Act, declaring it violative of Article 19(1)A of the Constitution. Yes, your legal fraternity would like it, but readers wouldn't be. Readers would get, lost. He'll trip in within that brackets and all that and fall. So that's his fascination for reading it, or his interest in reading it. Then further it continues. It must be remembered that the section was rushed through and never debated as the Parliament enacted the amendments to the Act in the shadow of the 2611 attack. So he has also given the background in which the law was enacted, and it was not debated in the House. All that is said there. But the readers won't be fascinated. Instead, can we make it very short and simple? The Supreme Court, simple, I'm just giving a side. The Supreme Court has struck down Section 66A of the Information Technology Act, which our lawmakers had passed hastily after the Mumbai terror attack. The court said it violated the right to free speech. Simple, everything is there except the sections and all that, which you can explain later. But the reader got the thing that a particular law which our parliament or our lawmakers passed hastily without debating, without applying their mind, was violative of the law of the land of the constitution, and the court has struck it down. That's that famous case. Everybody knows about that case. So this is it, as simply explaining it. Similarly, just 2-3 lines from police the cases and all that which you see in newspapers. Biru was found by Constable Sharma under suspicious circumstances near the building at 1 a.m. This is a typical FIR language. Can we change it? Constable Sharma spotted Viru lurking in the shadows near the building an hour after midnight. Don't say 1 a.m. An hour after midnight brings in that, that cinematic, that suspense and all that, the eeriness. So we have to choose words like that. Instead of being very technical, we have to use words that common man uses. When did you come? I came around midnight, we said. We don't say, I came at 1 a.m. Nobody speaks like that. I came an hour after midnight. So that's the language in which people speak. We have to adopt that language when we write for the people. Then another thing, I found most legal writing in passive voice. Try make it active voice. I'll give you a few examples. 52 bills have been passed by the Lok Sabha without discussion. That's a very simple thing. But can we put it? The Lok Sabha passed 52 bills without discussion. So there is somebody active there. There is a subject. More than the bills, you bring in the lawmakers. They didn't do what they had supposed to do because they were supposed to discuss it. So then you brought in the human element. That's a simple difference when you convert passive voice into active voice. Or there has been a massive manhunt launched by the Delhi police to nab the culprits in the rape incident. I'm talking about that infamous rape incident that happened. At that time, I found this line. Instead, can we say, the Delhi police have launched a massive manhunt to nab the rapist. Much shorter, much simpler. The reader understands it much easily, quickly, because he doesn't have much time. See, it's not like the olden days when people used to have 3 or 4 cups of coffee in the morning and read the newspaper leisurely and then go to office. These days, people don't have that kind of time also. So they read quickly. They have to understand what has happened in the country. They just glance through the newspaper. They may read it later. They just rush to office. That's what has happened. So we have to have our lines in shorter sentences, shorter. Then choose words that evoke feelings. I'll give you a few examples. I'll just let me ask, why is infant mortality rate very high in India? Infant mortality rate is very high. You don't know that because you and I am not concerned about infant mortality. Nobody is concerned about infant mortality. We are concerned if we talk about baby deaths. Babies dying, oh, everybody is concerned. But infant mortality, nobody is concerned. That's the difference when you use words which have evocative feelings, which evoke feelings. It appeared in a recent newspaper. Some few infants died in a Calcutta hospital last month. Don't say infants. So many babies died in a Calcutta hospital. Oh, then. See, infant is something, I mean, I'm not concerned. Baby is something you like to hold in your hand. That is that evocative writing. Please remember, Indians don't, we always say, majority of Indians live in rural areas. I don't believe so. It's our economists and bureaucrats who habitate them in rural areas. Majority of Indians live in villages. Remember, the greatest communicator of India. Who was the greatest communicator? The father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. He edited some 20 odd journals, I think, newspapers. Whenever he was not spinning or fasting, I think he was writing. So that's it. He's the greatest editor of India. He said, India lives in its villages. He didn't say India lives in its rural areas. So that's the difference. When you choose words, or look at the power of those two words, quit India. What? I mean, it really shook that the mightiest empire in the world. Just two words, quit India. Can you be more effective than that? Simple. Why are most government schemes not reaching the people who live under the poverty line? Because I don't see a poverty line anywhere. I don't see people living under poverty line. See people living under flyovers and bridges and all that. But we will be concerned if they talk about the poor, not about conditions under poverty line, right? Talk about penury. That's more important. We are not impressed when a millionaire claims that he started life as an agricultural laborer. He started life as a farmhand, poor farmhand, farm worker, simpler. These are simpler words. When when your client may be an automobile manufacturer, but when you write about that this thing, call him a car maker or car manufacturer if you want to be little more official. Second, I have seen the lawyers and law students, judges, all of them, people in the legal fraternity, they use a lot of continental words, basically French and Latin, legal Latin, you call it. So many words. Fine, that's it works in your courts and all that, but people don't understand that. Instead, prefer Anglo-Saxon words, which are shorter also. Forget Latin and all that, even continental and Anglo-Saxon. Words of French origin are slightly longer and beyond the comprehension of most people. If you use Anglo-Saxon words, I'll give you a few examples. Infant, I mentioned. Instead, use baby. Conceal. No, hide. The man was concealing himself in the attic, you may say, the accused. He was hiding in the attic. Election, false. Receive, instead say get, shorter. The other point is that when we write for newspapers and magazines, there is another problem. We don't have much space. We have just a page or whatever. I mean, we say 600 words only. So within that 600 words, you will have to compress all the information that you want to convey. So use shorter words, the better. So you get more space to convey information instead of the big words. Residence phone. Why? Home phone. Employment. Job. Why should we say unemployment? Joblessness. I found he found accommodation in a hotel. He found a room in a hotel. Reprimand, scold, penalize, punish. He was short of finance. He was short of money. That's a community inhabited by prosperous people. It's a community inhabited by rich people. Third world country. It's a poor country. Then the other is often when we write without ourselves knowing it, we bring in lot of redundancies. I'll give you a few examples which in legal writing also I found. Taking up the investigation, the police are arrested Pramod, Mukesh and Rafiq. Part 2. Uh, as I said, avoid redundancies. Without taking up investigation, the police can't arrest a person. So you don't have to say taking up the investigation. Just say the police arrested. Or there is another word which often is unnecessarily used. I'll give you the example, illustrated with an example. The Janata Dal United, which had joined hands with the BJP to contest assembly elections 2 years ago, has decided to part with it. Now, why decided to? It has already parted with it. We know the news. So, just say the JDU, which had allied with the BJP in the last elections 2 years ago, has decided to go it alone. Has gone. I will go it alone this time. That will do. You don't have to go decided to. Balu went. This is again a consumer court case. I mean, it was an article which I found somewhere, and I'm just quoting from that. Balu underwent a needless surgery which resulted in paralysis of his right leg. He decided to file a case. The Consumer Forum awarded him rupees 10 lakh compensation. What's the problem with this line? Balu has sued the hospital, won his case, and probably even got the money. But here we are saying he decided to file a case. Decision is over, implementation also is over, everything is over now. Decided to is redundant here. I give you a few more bad lines. The organizers of the meeting had arranged transportation for all participants from the railway station to the venue. Just say the organizers had sent cars to take participants from railway station to the venue. In a letter written by the sales manager to the president, he clarified that there was no corruption in the deal. Now, the salesman, why should you say in a letter and all that? The sales manager wrote to the president that there was no corruption in the deal. The accident took place when two pedestrians were crossing to the other side of the road. This was also found in an FIR. Now, why crossing to the other side of the road? Can you cross to the same side of the road? The accident took place when the pedestrians were crossing the road. Will do. A few more bad lines. I have been taught by my teachers at school that we have to respect elders. In school, it's only teachers who teach. I've been taught at school to respect elders. But enough. There was a meeting in the minister's room to discuss the prevailing drought conditions. There was a meeting in the minister's room to discuss the drought condition. Why? Drought is a condition. You don't have to say drought conditions. The river was overflowing with waters. Would the river overflow with milk? The river was flooded. Will do. Avoid redundant phrases. Past experience. Often it is found. Past experience. Experience can only be from the past. Just say experience. You save one word, past. Future plans. Can we have plans for the past? Plans is enough. It's for future only. Senior general. All generals are senior people. Just say general in the army. Senior army general then. That's another one. Yes. See, there are generals only in the army. Navy and Air Force don't have generals. So senior, just say general. Weather conditions. The weather is a condition of the climate or atmosphere. So you don't have to say it was bad weather. Don't say the helicopter could not take off because of bad weather conditions. No, the helicopter could not take off because of bad weather. Summer season. Summer is a season. So We'll spend our summer season in Europe. No, we'll spend our summer in Europe. 10 acres of land. You can't have 10 acres of water. So just say 10 acres. He bought 10 acres. Don't say he bought 10 acres of land. Angry mob. A mob is angry. If it is not angry, it's only a crowd. So just say a mob. A mob lynched them, not an angry mob. When the BJP government came to power, it's a government only if it comes to power. So when the BJP came to power, we'll do. The government today approved the new direct tax code at a cabinet meeting. So if it's a cabinet meeting, it's the cabinet which decided. Why say the government approved it in a cabinet meeting? Just say the cabinet approved the direct tax code. The hospital has 70 trained nurses. Good Lord. If there are untrained nurses, don't go to that hospital. Just say the hospital has 70 nurses. They are all trained. She's a trained Bharatnatyam dancer. Well, if she's untrained, she won't perform Bharatnatyam. Then humor. See, most of us are humorous in our everyday speech. But in that case, why not bring in a little humor into your articles also? Not jokes, but characteristic humor. Only white, gray humor, no black humor, please. Then statistics are very important. Statistics give a kind of authenticity to the article, but it should not be dead figures. If you can interpret it in a different way, that's much better. If you say 50% instead half the population, 50% of the people are poor. Don't say half the people are poor. When you mention the length of an aircraft carrier's deck, say it's the half the size of a football field. The authorities found 600 NGOs among the examined the accounts of 600 NGOs and found falsification in 300. So half the NGOs were found to be have falsified accounts. You can say, or every second, if it is any probe has been done like that. 1,500 rifles have been recovered from Maoists last year, enough to arm an infantry battalion, right like that. The police population ratio is 130 to 1,000. We can say one policeman for every 8 people. To sum up, these are only small pointers. And also, most of them are from my personal experience as a journalist, as one who also looks at writing of other people. But I can only say there is no fixed formula for good writing. These are only tips. There's but a secret path, which I will reveal now, that is good reading. Thank you very much. Yeah.